My name is Lauren Carter, and I'm 29 years old. For the last 2 years, I thought I was building a real future with my boyfriend, Ethan. If you'd met us at the beginning, you'd probably have believed it too. Back then, Ethan used to call himself an old soul. Saturdays meant coffee in one hand, my fingers in his other, as we wandered through estate sales and dusty antique shops. He'd stop in front of cracked glass cases, eyes lighting up at tarnished silver or a brooch missing a stone. "Can you imagine who wore this in the 50s?" he'd say, lifting something delicate and ruined like it was a treasure. He loved the stories behind things, or at least that's what I thought. So when our 2-year anniversary started creeping up on the calendar, I knew I didn't want something generic. I wanted something that felt like us, like those slow Saturdays and whispered jokes over chipped teacups we didn't buy. It took me 3 months to find the necklace. Art Deco, 1920s, white gold, tiny diamonds and deep blue sapphires set in a geometric pattern that looked like a city skyline at night. The estate jeweler I finally found it with was the kind of man who handled pieces like they were living things. He cleaned it, checked the clasp twice, printed out authentication papers. "Beautiful choice," he said, sliding the velvet box across the glass. "Whoever gets this is very lucky." I smiled, even though my stomach tightened when I looked at the total. $5,000. Not pocket change, but I'd been saving, picking up extra shift, saying no to takeout, watching my little anniversary fund grow on my banking app. He was worth it, I told myself. We were worth it. Our anniversary dinner was at this Italian place downtown. Not five-star fancy, but warm, with brick walls and string lights and candles on every table. Ethan looked good. Dark shirt, sleeves rolled up, watch he'd bought for the aesthetic. "You look amazing," he said, leaning across the table. The candlelight reflected in his eyes, and for a second I felt that familiar little tug in my chest. We ate, we laughed, we shared a bottle of wine. After dessert, my heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear the clink of cutlery around us. "Okay," I said, reaching into my bag. "I have something for you first." He arched an eyebrow, smiling like he was expecting keys to a car. I slid the small velvet box across the table. "What is this?" he asked, teasing. "Just open it." He flipped the lid. The candlelight caught on the stones, scattering little sparks of blue and white. I watched his face, waiting for that old soul softness I knew so well. Instead, his smile faltered, tilted, turned into something else. "It's vintage," I said quickly, before he could say anything. "From the 20s. Art Deco. I know how much you—" "Is this—" He picked the necklace up by 2 fingers, letting it dangle. "Costume jewelry?" The words landed like ice water. "What? No, it's real. White gold, real diamonds, sapphires. He snorted, loud enough that the couple at the next table glanced over. "It looks like something from a thrift store, Lauren." "It's from an estate jeweler," I said, my voice thinner than I wanted it to be. "Specializes in older pieces. You always said you loved—" "Yeah, older pieces that don't look cheap." He dropped the necklace back into the box with a soft thud. "You know this is the kind of thing that turns your neck green, right? Like the fake stuff in those discount boutiques." Heat rushed to my face. I could feel the waiter hovering nearby, pretending not to listen. "Ethan, it's not fake. I had it authenticated. I don't wear junk," he said, pushing the box across the table toward me like it offended him. "I deserve something designer. Tiffany, Cartier, not whatever this is." For a moment, the restaurant noise vanished. It was just the soft scrape of the box on the white tablecloth and the dull roar in my ears. "Ethan," I managed, "I spent months looking for that. I thought—" "I don't care how long you spent," he cut in. "It looks cheap. That's what matters. Do you really want me walking around in something that looks like it cost $40 off a clearance rack?" The few tables around us had gone quiet. Someone's fork paused midway to their mouth. The waiter appeared, refilling our water glasses without looking at either of us. "I'm going to the bathroom," Ethan said, standing abruptly. "Maybe take a minute to think about whether you're ready for a real relationship with real gifts." He walked away, leaving the candlelight flickering over the little velvet box between us. I stared at it, at the necklace I'd pictured around his neck, resting against his chest when he hugged me, at the tiny sapphires I'd fallen in love with under the jeweler's bright lights. My hands shook as I closed the lid. By the time Ethan came back, I'd paid the check. The car ride to his apartment was mostly silence, broken by his occasional sighs. "My coworker's boyfriend got her a bracelet from Tiffany," he said finally, staring out the window. They've been together 6 months. 6. You and I have been together 2 years, and you get me something that looks fake. It isn't fake, I said, but it sounded weak even to me. He shrugged. Whatever, just take me home. When we pulled up to his building, he got out without kissing me. Thanks for dinner, I guess, he said, shutting the door. I sat in the car for a long time after he went inside, fingers curled around the box, still heavy in my coat pocket. The candlelight was gone, replaced by the harsh yellow of the street lamp. The necklace felt different in my hands now, like it didn't belong to either of us. The next morning, his words were still echoing in my head. I deserve designer. I don't wear cheap junk. I didn't text him. I showered, got dressed, and drove to the estate jeweler instead. He remembered me as soon as I walked in. Ah, Lauren, how did he like it? I swallowed. He didn't. Can I return it? The jeweler's face fell. I'm sorry to hear that. It's a beautiful piece. He hesitated, then nodded. I can give you $4,200 back. I'll have to account for the cleaning and paperwork. $4,200 is fine, I said. My voice sounded far away. We did the paperwork. He wrote a check. I asked for an itemized receipt with the full details, the original price, the authentication, the cleaning, everything. Of course, he said, printing it and sliding it across the counter. For your records. For my records. I drove to Ethan's apartment. He wasn't home. I still had a key. We'd swapped at our 1-year anniversary, back when that felt like a promise instead of a liability. I let myself in, walked straight to the kitchen, and left the receipt on the counter where he dropped his keys every day. Then I locked the door and left. The weird thing wasn't that I felt angry. I didn't exactly. I felt tired, like something that had been slowly cracking inside me for months had finally split down the middle. Around 6 that evening, my phone lit up on the coffee table. Then again, and again. 12 missed calls, 15 texts, all from Ethan. Where's the necklace? You returned it? Lauren, answer your phone. You paid $5,000? I watched the screen buzz until it stopped. After an hour, I called him back. He picked up on the first ring. Where is it? I returned it, I said. You what? You said it was cheap junk, I replied, keeping my voice calm. So I took it back to the jeweler. He refunded me. Fair enough. That was a $5,000 necklace? His voice cracked on the number. Yeah. I didn't know, he said quickly. I thought it was costume. You should have told me. I tried, I reminded him, at the restaurant. You didn't want to hear it. There was a long silence. I could almost hear the gears turning in his mind. Not about how he'd hurt me, but about what he'd lost. Okay, then just buy it back, he said finally. No. What do you mean no? Just go back and get it again, Lauren. It's already gone, I lied. He sold it to another customer. Panic sharpened his tone. Then get me something else. Something equivalent. Tiffany, whatever. It's our anniversary, because you love me. I did get you an anniversary gift, I said quietly. You threw it back in my face. You're being ridiculous. I'm being honest, I replied. For once. I hung up before he could answer. 30 seconds later, he called again. I let it ring. Somewhere between the buzzing of my phone and the quiet of my apartment, a new thought slid into place. Maybe that necklace hadn't been the only thing in our relationship he'd mistaken for cheap. For the next 2 days, Ethan and I didn't talk. He still watched my Instagram stories, still liked a meme I posted out of habit, but there were no calls, no apologies, no, I went too far. Just silence and a knot in my chest that kept tightening. On day 3, that knot turned into pounding on my front door. I was making coffee when the sound shook the hallway. Not a gentle knock, but the kind that says, I'm not leaving until you open. I set my mug down and walked over, looking through the peephole. Ethan. Jaw clenched. Hair a little messy, like he'd been running his hands through it on the drive over. He looked furious. I opened the door halfway, keeping my body in the frame. What? I asked. We need to talk, he said, pushing against the door like he expected it to just swing wide open. Not really. He forced his way in anyway, brushing past me. My chest tightened, not from longing, but from how casually he ignored the boundary. You returned the necklace? He demanded, spinning to face me. What was that? I shut the door, keeping my hand on the knob. You called it cheap junk. You said you deserved designer. I responded appropriately. He threw his hands up. You embarrassed me, Lauren. Do you know what I had to tell my friends when they asked what you got me? That my girlfriend bought me some fake-looking antique from a pawn shop and then took it back when I didn't pretend to love it. You could tell them the truth, I said. That your girlfriend spent 3 months finding a vintage necklace, paid $5,000 for it, and you insulted it loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. They don't need to know how much it cost. Why not? I asked. That's literally the only part you care about now. His lips thinned. You're twisting this. No, I said, suddenly very calm. You said, and I quote, I don't wear cheap junk. I deserve designer Tiffany, Cartier, not whatever this is. He glared at me. I was being honest. Communication is important in relationships. Great, I said. Then here's my communication. I'm done. The words surprised even me with how solid they sounded. His face went pale. The anger dropped for a second, replaced with something like shock. You're breaking up with me? Over a necklace? I'm breaking up with you because you showed me exactly who you are, I said quietly. Someone who cares more about logos than meaning. Someone who humiliates me in public because a gift doesn't meet some imaginary price threshold. That's not someone I want to build a life with. You're being dramatic, he snapped. This is over a stupid piece of jewelry. No, I said, it's over your reaction to it. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, slowly, his expression shifted. The initial shock cooled into something sharper. His eyes narrowed, calculating. Fine, he said, if that's how you want to play it. He walked to the door, hand on the knob. He looked back at me once, a little smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. But you're going to regret this, he said. Then he left. I stood in my hallway, listening to his footsteps fade, my heart pounding so loudly it almost drowned out the sound. I waited for the urge to run after him, to take it back, to say we could work on it. It didn't come. What came instead was a bone-deep exhaustion. 5 days passed. Day 1, I got a text from his best friend, Marcus. Hey, Lauren, I heard about the necklace thing. He's really hurt. I stared at the little gray bubbles, then scrolled. He told me what happened. I think you're being unfair. He didn't know it was real. You should apologize and maybe get him something from Tiffany to make up for it. I typed, deleted, retyped. Finally, I sent. He insulted a gift I spent 3 months finding because it didn't have the right brand name. I'm not apologizing for that. We're done. Please don't contact me about this again. The 3 dots appeared. Then, wow, so you're just going to abandon him like this? Real mature. Blocked. Day 2, his mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Hi, Lauren, this is Ethan's mom. Her voice came through later, tinny and disapproving. He told me what happened. I think you two need to sit down and talk this through. Relationships require compromise. Ethan has certain standards and expectations. That's not wrong. Call me back and we can arrange a time to all talk together. I deleted it without saving the number. Day 3. I came home from work and found him waiting in front of my building. My stomach dropped when I saw him sitting on the low brick wall by the entrance, scrolling his phone. When he looked up and spotted me, his face lit up with a fake, wounded softness. Hey, he said, standing, we need to talk. No, we really don't, I replied, walking toward the door. He stepped in front of it, blocking my way. I've been thinking, he said. Maybe we rushed into this whole breakup thing. Maybe we can work through it. There's nothing to work through, I said. You showed me your priorities. I believe you. You're being stubborn, he said. Everyone fights. You're going to throw away 2 years over one night? I'm not throwing away 2 years, I said. I'm refusing to waste any more. That's not fair, he said, his voice tightening. I just want nice things. Is that such a crime? You don't just want nice things, I said. You want luxury and status and proof you're better than everyone else. You want a walking wallet, Ethan. That's not me. His jaw clenched. You're twisting everything. Goodbye, I said, stepping around him. Please stop coming here. I unlocked the door and went inside. He stood there for a moment, then banged on the glass once, hard, before turning and stalking away. Day 4, a coworker stopped by my desk at lunch. Hey, Lauren, she said, leaning against the cubicle wall. Weird question. Does your boyfriend have a British accent? I blinked. No, why? Some woman called the office asking for you, she said. Said it was an emergency. When we asked what kind, she hung up. Then a guy called later asking for you by your full name. Sounded sort of posh. When reception said they couldn't transfer personal calls, he hung up too. Cold slid down my spine. Did he give a name? No, she said. Everything okay? Yeah, I lied. Probably just some spam call. Thanks for telling me. Day 5, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Hi, this is Jenna. Please don't tell him I messaged you. Ethan doesn't know I'm reaching out. I frowned. He's not eating. He's barely sleeping. He really loves you, Lauren. He made a mistake. Can you please just talk to him? He's ready to apologize. I stared at the message for a long time before typing. If he wants to apologize, he can text me himself from his own number, but I'm not interested in getting back together, regardless. The reply was immediate. He's too proud to reach out first. You know how he is. Yeah, I thought. I do. That's why we're done, I typed and hit send. No response after that. That night, I lay on my couch in the dark. The glow from the TV painting flickers of light on the ceiling. My phone was face down on the coffee table, silent for the first time all day. I thought about the necklace, about the way his fingers had held it like it was contaminated, about the way his voice changed as soon as he realized how much it cost. He didn't care that it was meaningful. He cared that it was expensive. And now everyone around him was trying to convince me that somehow that made him the victim. The next afternoon, my phone rang again. Unknown number, local area code. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something in my gut told me to answer. Hello? Lauren? This is Harold from the estate jewelry shop, a familiar warm voice said. Sorry to bother you. I just thought you'd want to know something. My grip on the phone tightened. Okay. A man came in asking about the Art Deco necklace you returned, Harold said. Dark hair, mid-20s, grew agitated when I told him I couldn't disclose client information. I'm assuming that was your boyfriend? Ex, I corrected automatically. What did he say? He said he'd made a mistake returning it and wanted to know if he could buy it back, Harold said. He started offering cash if I'd hold it for him. That's not how we operate, so I asked him to leave. My stomach sank and twisted at the same time. Part of me wasn't surprised. Of course, Ethan would only want the necklace once he knew how much it was worth. Did you sell it? I asked quietly. As of this morning, yes, he said. A collector from the East Coast purchased it. Paid full price. It's gone for good now. For a second, I pictured Ethan's face when he heard that. The rage, the disbelief, the certainty that anything he wanted should still be within reach. Okay, I said. Thanks for telling me. Are you all right? Harold asked gently. I thought about the pounding on my door, the calls to my job, the way his mother described his standards like I was failing a luxury exam. Not really, I admitted, but I'm getting there. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my lap, heart racing. Ethan didn't accept that the necklace was gone. He didn't accept that we were done. The more I pulled away, the harder he tried to pull me back. Not out of love, but out of refusal to lose. Somewhere between the receipt on his counter and the collector in another state, I realized something else. If I didn't start protecting myself, this wasn't going to just fade out on its own. Before that weekend, I used to sleep with my phone on my nightstand. Now I kept it on the kitchen counter, far enough away that if Ethan called in the middle of the night, I wouldn't wake up and second-guess my instincts. On day 6, I finally acted on the uneasy feeling that had been building in my chest. I called my landlord. Hi, this is Lauren Carter, I said. I need to change my locks. He didn't ask why. Maybe he heard something in my voice. Maybe he'd dealt with situations like this before. Either way, he just said, I'll have maintenance swing by within the hour. $75. Is that okay? Yes, I said, please. The locks were changed by noon. That same afternoon, I ordered a doorbell camera and installed it myself, watching YouTube tutorials until the thing finally clicked into place. I tested it twice. It worked. Good. I didn't want to be paranoid, but I didn't want to be unprepared either. The next day, around 5 in the evening, my phone buzzed with a text from my neighbor across the hall. FYI, someone tried your door handle a few times just now, looked frustrated and walked away. Tall guy, dark hair, don't think it was UPS. My heart stopped. I opened my door cautiously and checked the hallway. Empty. Then I pulled up the doorbell camera app. The video started with nothing. Then Ethan walked into frame, glancing up and down the hallway. He reached for my doorknob, twisted it, tried again, and then again, harder. His jaw clenched. He stared at the lock like it had betrayed him. Then he stormed off. That night was the first time I locked my bedroom door before going to sleep. But the worst wasn't the lock. It was what came after. 3 days later, around noon, my phone buzzed with a notification. Ethan has added you to a group chat. My stomach dropped as I opened it. The group included Ethan, his mom, his 2 best friends, one of my friends from college, and me. The group name was Working Through Miscommunications. I felt physically ill. His first message appeared instantly. Since Lauren refuses to communicate like an adult, we're having a group intervention. Everyone here cares about both of us and wants to see us work this out. I stared at the screen for a long moment. My hands were cold, my pulse loud. Then I clicked Leave Group Chat. Immediately, individual texts started coming in. His mother, Lauren, please return to the chat. We all just want to help. His best friend, Marcus. Seriously? You couldn't even stay and listen? That's childish. His other friend, you owe it to him to talk. He's hurting. My friend, WTF is happening? I didn't agree to this. I quickly replied to my friend, I have no idea. Please just stay out of it. He's not okay right now. Friend, already blocked them. I'm here if you need me. I exhaled shakily. At least someone understood. But Ethan wasn't finished. Not even close. The next morning, I got an email from my credit card company. Suspicious purchase detected. $3,200 at Tiffany & Co. My blood ran cold. I immediately called the number on the back of my card. The representative asked, "Do you still have your card in your possession, ma'am?" I checked my wallet. Yes. "Then someone's using your card number. We'll reverse the charge and issue you a new—" My phone buzzed loudly. Ethan was calling. Against every instinct, I answered. "Hey," he said, sounding thrilled. "Okay, don't be mad, but I did something really special." My voice came out flat. "What did you do, Ethan?" "I went to Tiffany. I picked out this gorgeous bracelet, and I charged it to your card so we'd be even. You know, after you overreacted about the necklace." I closed my eyes. "You used my credit card." "It's not stealing," he scoffed. "We're basically still together. Couples share finances. You used my Netflix account for a year. That is not remotely the same thing. You're really blowing this out of proportion. I did it for us, for our future." "We don't have a future," I said quietly. "We broke up. You used my financial information without my permission. That is fraud." "Oh my God," he said, laughing like I was cute and dramatic. "Lauren, come on, don't do this. I already bought it. It's beautiful. You'll love it." "I already filed a fraud report," I said. "They're reversing the charge, and if you don't return that bracelet today, the investigation will escalate." His voice sharpened instantly. "You wouldn't." "I absolutely would," I said. He went silent. Then he hung up. 30 minutes later, my phone rang again. Ethan's mom this time. "How could you file a police report on my son?" she demanded. "I didn't file a police report," I said calmly. "I filed a fraud report with my bank because he used my card without permission." "He was trying to fix things with you. That wasn't fraud. It was love." "That was theft," I corrected. "You're going to ruin his life over a misunderstanding." "He's ruining his own life," I said, "and I'm done participating." I hung up mid-sentence. An hour later, the credit card company called to confirm the bracelet had been returned. The charge reversed. Good, but the day wasn't over. That evening, my apartment building's front desk called. "Hi, Ms. Carter. There's a woman here saying she lives in your unit and needs a replacement key." My chest tightened. "Who is it?" "She says her name is Madison." I closed my eyes. Ethan's other best friend. The one who had been messaging me earlier in the week. "She does not live here," I said firmly. "Do not give her a key, and please ask her to leave." "Yes, ma'am." I pulled up the lobby camera feed. Madison was at the desk arguing with the receptionist, waving her arms in dramatic frustration. When security approached, she backed off, mouthing something that looked like, "This isn't over." 10 minutes later, my doorbell camera chimed. Madison came down the hall, looked straight into the camera, then knocked. "Lauren," she called. "He's hurting. Let someone help him." When I didn't answer, she dropped a white envelope under my door and stomped away. Inside were 3 handwritten pages. Highlights included, "You've changed. You used to be generous. All my friends have boyfriends who treat them better. The necklace was a misunderstanding. Stop being cheap. I am willing to forgive you if you apologize." Forgive me. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. I took pictures of the letter, saved them in a folder titled Documentation. Because by then, I knew this wasn't just a messy breakup. This was someone who had never been told no in his life and had no idea how to accept it. The next day, I got a text from my friend, the one Ethan had added to the group chat. "Dude, he showed up at my job, asking where you've been. Said I should help talk sense into you. I told him to leave. He called me a bad friend. Just a heads up, he seems unhinged." My fingers trembled slightly as I replied. "Thank you. Don't engage with him anymore. Friend, already blocked. Please be careful." I stared at his last message, a cold realization settling over me. This wasn't going away. Not on its own. Tomorrow I decided I'm documenting everything and calling a lawyer. Not to sue him. Not to get revenge. Just to know my options. Before Ethan creates a situation I can't control. I didn't sleep well that night. Not because I was scared, at least that's what I told myself, but because my brain wouldn't stop replaying every moment Ethan had pushed, twisted, or bulldozed over a boundary I thought was obvious. By morning, I had a folder on my desktop labeled Ethan, evidence, screenshots, videos, audio memos, the whole thing. A lawyer I found online confirmed everything I suspected. Changing the locks was smart. Documenting everything was smarter. And if Ethan escalated even slightly, I had grounds for a restraining order. For the first time in days, I felt in control. But peace never lasts long with someone who refuses to accept reality. The next day, 2 weeks after the anniversary, everything came to a head. It started with a package at my door. The doorbell camera pinged, showing a delivery driver holding a medium-sized box. I opened the door, signed, thanked him, brought it inside, and set it on the kitchen counter. The return address wasn't a name I recognized, just a corporate shipping center. My stomach tightened. I opened the box. Inside, wrapped in too many layers of bubble wrap, was a velvet jewelry box. My hands went cold. No, it couldn't be. But it was. The Art Deco necklace. The necklace. And on top of it, a folded note in Ethan's handwriting. I bought it back. See? I do appreciate it. Now can we please move past this? I'm sorry. Let's talk. The room swayed for a second. He didn't even include how he got it, just assumed the gesture would fix everything. My phone rang. I didn't need to check to know who it was. I answered anyway. You got it? Ethan's voice was bright. Too bright, like he'd been rehearsing this moment. How did you get this? I asked quietly. I have my ways. Ethan. He paused, then sighed dramatically. Fine. I tracked down the collector, found them through a reseller's network. I explained the situation. They agreed to sell it back. How much did you pay? That's not important. How much, Ethan? Another pause, longer this time. And $8,000. I closed my eyes. You spent $8,000 on a necklace you called cheap junk. I didn't know what it was then, he shot back. Now I do, and I got it back for you, to show I care. You spent $8,000 to prove a point, I said softly. To prove I love you, he insisted. To prove this relationship matters to me. This relationship ended 3 weeks ago. Stop saying that, he snapped, all the fake warmth disappearing. We are not broken up. We're on a break. Big difference. No, we're not on anything. We're done. He let out a bitter laugh. You're being stubborn, delusional, immature. My jaw tightened. Ethan, you stalked a collector. You used my credit card. You showed up at my job. You contacted my mother. You tried my door. You created a group intervention chat. You have crossed every boundary I set. I'm fighting for us. No, I said, you're stalking me. The silence on the line turned icy. When he finally spoke again, his voice was controlled. Too controlled. Keep the necklace, he said. Or don't. I don't care. But we are talking about this, face to face. I'm coming over. No, you're not. Yes, he said, I am. I will call the police. Something in his tone shifted, anger mixed with disbelief. Like the idea that I might actually defend myself had never occurred to him. You wouldn't. Ethan, I said, watch me. And I hung up. 5 seconds of quiet passed before I acted. I drove straight back to the estate jeweler. The bell above the door chimed as I walked in, necklace box in hand. Harold blinked at me. Lauren? How on earth? It's the same one, I said, placing it on the counter. The collector sold it back to my ex, who mailed it to me. I'd like to sell it again. Harold gave a stunned laugh, shaking his head. This poor necklace has been through more drama than most marriages. I'll take $4,000 for it, I said. Done, he replied immediately. He wrote the check while muttering something about needing to sage the jewelry case afterward. After that, I sat in my car for a full minute, gripping the steering wheel, grounding myself. Then I did something I hadn't planned on doing, but now felt absolutely necessary. I called Ethan's parents. His father answered. Hello? Hi, Mr. Hayes. This is Lauren, your son's ex-girlfriend. Ah, his voice tightened. Yes, well, we've heard pieces of the situation. I imagine not the right ones, I said. I wanted to clarify something. Your son told you he needed $8,000 to fix our relationship, correct? A heavy pause. That's what he said. We broke up 3 weeks ago, I told him. He used that money to buy back a necklace he insulted, then sent it to me as a manipulation tactic. He didn't tell you about the credit card fraud, the harassment, the showing up at my apartment, or the fact that I've told him repeatedly that we are not together. Silence. Then, thank you for letting us know, his father said quietly. We will address this. I hung up and finally exhaled. For the next 3 days, nothing. No texts, no calls, no sudden knocks at my door, no shadow in my hallway. Just quiet. It was almost unnerving. On the 4th day, his best friend Jenna texted me. Can we meet? Please, it's about Ethan. He's not okay. Against my better judgment, I agreed, but only in a crowded coffee shop in broad daylight. Jenna looked uncomfortable as she sat across from me, stirring her latte. He's spiraling, she said. His parents are furious about the money. He's been crying, not eating. He keeps saying you'll come around. He needs therapy, I said, not me. She winced. Can you just talk to him? Let him apologize? Give him another chance? No, I said flatly. She blinked. Just like that? Just like that. She stared at me, confused. I thought you loved him. I did, I said. But love isn't enough when someone refuses to respect you. Jenna's voice softened. He really loved you, you know. I held her gaze. No, he loved what I could give him. For once, she didn't argue. She just nodded, quietly devastated, and walked away. The next morning, 3 weeks after everything began, I got a final text. I get it. You're not coming back. Fine, I'll stop trying. But you gave up on something real. And you're going to regret it when you realize what you lost. I read it twice, then wrote the last thing I'll ever say to him. I didn't give up on something real. I walked away from something fake. People aren't ATMs. Relationships aren't shopping trips. I have no regrets. Good luck. Then I blocked his number, blocked his mom, his friends, his burner accounts, all of it. It was over. Finally over. I made myself coffee and sat on the couch watching the same movie I'd started the day everything fell apart. But now, the weight on my chest was gone. Later that night, my phone buzzed. A text from Harold, the estate jeweler. The necklace sold again. 3rd time's the charm. Funny thing, the buyer asked about its history. When I told her it had quite a journey, she said that made her love it even more. Said every piece should have a story. Thought you'd appreciate that. I did. Some people see value in the story. Others only see price tags. I closed my phone, exhaled, and let the moment settle. For the first time in weeks, I felt something new. Relief. And the first flicker of peace.